October 24th, 1945. Lake Success, New York. On this day, the Charter of the United Nations came into force. 51 nations sent their delegates to inaugurate what they hoped would mark the beginning of a new age, an age of peace. The world was weary. 6 years of war had left Europe in ruins. Millions displaced, millions dead. The smoke of Auschwitz still clung to memory. And in Asia, the mushroom clouds of Hiroshima and Nagasaki had cast a shadow across the future of mankind. For the first time in history, humanity possessed the power to destroy itself. Never had the future felt so fragile or so uncertain. Among the Norwegian delegation sat a man who passed unnoticed by most, a quiet legal advisor. His name, Christoph Dalen. On paper, a functionary. In truth, the last living custodian of a secret that had already consumed every one of his predecessors. That evening, while speeches echoed in the chamber, Dalen slipped away into the marble corridors of the temporary United Nations headquarters. He did not seek out the British, nor the Americans. His destination was the delegation of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, then one of the newest voices in international diplomacy. What he placed before them was not a treaty, nor a resolution. It was a series of pages, copies of the leather-bound codex. The texts were written in an impossible mixture of scripts, classical Arabic, the extinct tongue of Tocharian, and a language no philologist had ever charted. At first, the Saudis received him with courtesy, but as their eyes fell upon the words, their expressions faltered. Composure gave way to unease. Something in the text provoked not only confusion, but fear. Within hours, alarmed by what they had read, the Saudi envoys convened a private meeting. Britain was invited, France as well, and a select few from the United States. No record exists in the official archives of the United Nations, but fragments survive. A page in a diplomat's diary, a line buried in the footnotes of a memoir, enough to suggest what transpired. Presiding over the gathering was Salman bin Samir al-Faqih. Officially, he was a Saudi delegate. In truth, he was something rarer, a mathematician, a physicist, and one of the Arab world's most gifted linguists, fluent not only in Persian, Syriac, and Hebrew, but in the forgotten tongues of the desert itself. Salman did not begin with translation. He began with warning. Those who carried knowledge of the codex, he declared, would be marked, hunted not by governments nor armies, but by something else, something ancient, something whose nature demanded further study. He had skimmed only fragments of the text, yet Salman understood enough. The codex spoke of a threat that was not human, a presence interwoven with the rise of early civilizations, a power remembered only in shards of forgotten myth. And it was still out there, somewhere, perhaps nearer than anyone dared to ponder. Salman urged protection for every scholar who had touched the codex. And more than that, he proposed the creation of a council unlike any the world had seen, not of politicians, but of scientists, historians, archaeologists, linguists, and theologians drawn from across borders, bound in secrecy. For only by pooling knowledge could humanity hope to understand what the codex was warning against and what was still to come. Christoph Dalen agreed. In hushed words, he invited Salman to Norway, where the original codex and the silver box remained hidden. Word spread quietly through channels of friendship, of scholarship, of trust. Archaeologists in Oxford, historians in Paris, linguists in Cairo, cryptographers in Washington. Some traveled under diplomatic passports, others slipped away from universities, unnoticed. Weeks later, on the outskirts of Oslo, they gathered at Dalen's rural estate. A strange fellowship of minds drawn from various parts of the world. Armed guards patrolled the grounds. The war had ended, but for these men and women, the danger was only beginning. In the shadows of peace, a new struggle had begun, not over nations, not over borders, but over knowledge. Knowledge that, if true, suggested humanity had never truly stood alone,